Before you hear this story, stop for just 1 second. If you believe power should answer to justice, if you believe respect should never be judged by skin color, and if you want real stories that expose shocking truths hidden in plain sight, hit subscribe right now, because what you're about to hear left an entire courthouse frozen in silence and flipped the fate of 2 police officers in ways they never imagined. On a cold gray morning outside the Franklin County Courthouse, officers Darren Holt and Mike Keegan stood posted near the side entrance, bored, irritated, and already angry at the world, the kind of anger that sits just under the surface waiting for a target. And when a black woman in a simple charcoal coat and low heels walked briskly past them toward the steps, holding a leather folder tight against her chest, they decided, without reason, without warning, without asking a single question, that she didn't belong. Holt stepped forward and barked for her to stop, his voice sharp and public, heads turning instantly. The woman paused, calm but confused, explaining she was late for court, that she had clearance, that she needed to get inside immediately. But Keegan laughed, mocking her tone, accusing her of lying, accusing her of trying to sneak in through the wrong entrance. And when she reached into her bag to retrieve identification, Holt slapped the folder out of her hands, papers scattering across the stone steps like startled birds. And before anyone could react, he slapped her, hard, across the face, the sound cracking through the morning air, the woman staggering but not falling, her eyes steady, unblinking, her voice low as she said, "You've made a terrible mistake," which only fueled Keegan's rage as he grabbed her arm, twisting it behind her back, ignoring her sharp intake of breath, ignoring the murmurs of shock from nearby attorneys, clerks, and defendants who froze where they stood, phones halfway out of pockets, unsure if they should record or run. Holt sneering that she should have learned her place, that people like her always think rules don't apply, and in that moment the woman did something no one expected. She straightened, despite the pain, and calmly said her full name, Judge Evelyn Carter, and for half a second the world seemed to stop. But then both officers laughed, loud and dismissive, accusing her of lying again, accusing her of using a judge card, like she thought it was magic, dragging her toward the holding area by the side door, unaware that inside the courthouse, courtroom for B was already packed, a packed docket, a packed gallery, and an empty judge's bench that was supposed to be filled 5 minutes ago, the clerk nervously checking the clock, the bailiff whispering that Judge Carter was never late, never, and as the minutes ticked by, murmurs grew louder until a senior public defender stood and requested a recess. Something felt wrong, something was off, and then the courthouse doors burst open as a young intern came running, breathless, whispering to the clerk that there was an incident outside involving officers and a woman claiming to be the judge. And suddenly everything moved fast and slow at the same time, the clerk rushing out, the bailiff following, the courtroom emptying into the hall, while outside Holt and Keegan were still riding the adrenaline of unchecked authority. Keegan pushing Judge Carter into a metal bench area, snapping cuffs around her wrists despite her clear, measured warnings that this would not end the way they thought, and it wasn't until the clerk's voice rang out, high, panicked, calling Judge Carter by name, that the first crack of doubt appeared on Holt's face, his stomach dropping as he turned and saw a dozen courthouse employees staring, mouths open, eyes wide, the clerk rushing forward, demanding they release her immediately, that she was the presiding judge, that she had been appointed by the governor, confirmed by the Senate, respected statewide. For her integrity, and silence fell so heavy it felt physical. Keegan's grip loosened, his face draining of color, Holt stammering excuses that died in his throat as Judge Carter slowly lifted her cuffed hands, her cheek already swelling, her voice steady but cold as ice as she said, "Remove them." And hands that had been so confident minutes earlier now shook as Keegan fumbled with the keys, dropping them once, twice, sweat beading on his forehead. The cuffs finally falling away, the crowd parting instinctively as Judge Carter stood tall, adjusting her coat, picking up her scattered papers one by one, each movement deliberate, controlled, a masterclass in restraint, and without raising her voice, without threatening, she said words that would haunt them forever. "Court is in session." Inside the courtroom, Judge Carter took the bench as if nothing had happened, though every eye tracked the bruise blooming beneath her eye, every whisper carried disbelief. And when the docket reached internal affairs misconduct hearings, cases. Internal affairs misconduct hearings. Cases she had not realized were scheduled that morning. Holt and Keegan's names appeared on the screen like a cruel twist of fate, their earlier arrogance now replaced by terror as they realized she did not just hold their fate metaphorically, she held it literally. And yet the true twist came when Judge Carter recused herself publicly, stating that justice must be beyond question, ordering an independent judge to oversee their cases while she initiated a federal civil rights referral, ensuring transparency so complete there would be nowhere for them to hide. And in the days that followed, body cam footage surfaced, eyewitness accounts flooded the media, protests ignited across the city, and what began as a slap outside a courthouse became a national reckoning. Holt resigned before he could be fired, Keegan faced criminal charges, the department underwent federal review, and Judge Evelyn Carter, who could have quietly destroyed them from the bench, became a symbol of restraint, power, and dignity, reminding a watching nation that true authority does not scream, does not strike first, and does not fear accountability. And long after the headlines faded, officers across the state would lower their voices when her name was mentioned, not out of fear, but because on that cold morning outside the courthouse, they learned too late that justice doesn't always announce itself, and sometimes the woman you dismiss holds the power to change everything.